Dan.
And my name is also Dan.
And welcome back to the Dan the Gamesman podcast, your fortnightly dose of everything gaming. And speaking of gaming, what have you been playing this past fortnight, Dan?
Chiefly, I've been enjoying our Games Club entry of Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yes, so if you missed our last podcast, we set the very first Dan the Gamesman Game Club game of the fortnight. So every fortnight we are going to set a very short game that everyone can play and experience, and then we're going to talk about it in full spoiling detail. And the last entry and first entry for the Dan the Gamesman Game Club was Doki Doki Literature Club, quite ironically. And
yes,
yeah, we've both finished it this week.
Yeah, we have powered through.
Now, normally we would talk about these games at the start of the podcast,
Yeah.
but because of the content of this game, we're going to kind of leave it to the end of the podcast. It does have some quite triggering content, so we're going to talk about that right at the end of the podcast. We will put a warning out before we start talking about it, so if you do want to avoid it, you won't miss any other part of the podcast. But other than that harrowing experience, what else have you been playing this past 2 weeks?
Grinding out more of Avowed, and I have actually made it to a different area now.
Is it the second area?
It is, Mushroom Island.
So, I would say the second area of Avowed is a lot weaker than the first area.
It does seem it.
It did seem to have a kind of second act lull, but the third area, spoiler alert, I'm slightly further ahead. The third area, after the events of the second area, is so good. I think the second act of this game is going to put a lot of people off.
Yeah.
But the third act, it totally pulled me back in.
Yeah. Do you think it was maybe a bit of almost a narrative misstep of going, okay, if we're going to go hard in the third one, we need a bit of a trough to then bring it back up, and maybe it's backfired?
I think it's a bit of a cliche second area, I think. You know, it's kind all mushroom people and woods and
Yes.
elves, and it's like, it's a bit. I prefer the kind of dungeons, Indiana Jonesy kind of traps, bits like that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the second area is a bit cliche in a game which, at its core, is quite cliche.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure if anyone has ever played Dungeons and Dragons before, you've encountered like mushroom people, not The Last of Us style, but like literally walking mushrooms and kind of spooky forests and really the obvious stuff. And I don't want to spoil what the third area is, but it does really pull it back. And I think it's, and the storyline gets really good in the third
I hope
act.
it's a haunted Walmart. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, you're looking very Walmarty today.
I'll be the greeter for today.
But yeah, it's definitely pulled me back in. I did find it a bit of a slog getting through the second area, but there is a big payoff at the end of the second act, and it's very good. Are you still enjoying it though? Yeah,
it has been fun, especially just slamming little mushroom people with Earth and Wrath. It's like, haha, get sauteed.
Have you changed your kind of play style at all?
I've pretty much just leaned more into magic, and I'm not bothering too much with my fancy sword and shield.
Yeah, I think something which I didn't realise, I was basically hoarding every single enchanted weapon in the entire game, like some kind of goblin, just keeping every single weapon to myself. But you actually explained to me you do need to break them down to get the components to make other ones. The game does tell you that consistently, but obviously I ignored the game and listened to you. But yeah, it is very good. I'm just basically using spellbook and wand.
Yes.
But I have a funny, very strange, very questionable looking wand. Which we can talk about when we do the 18 plus rated podcast, which is coming in the future, which will be an experience. But have you been playing anything other than those two games?
Just trying to get to grips with Balatro more, I think.
How are you finding?
So close to finishing a run, and
so have you finished? So you haven't finished a run yet?
No, I got to like most of the way through Ante 7, and then it was like, how about we screw you over with just pairs?
Yeah, that game has no chill.
Yeah,
it's a game. It's one of the best. It's one of the best games I've played in the past few years.
It's incredibly addictive.
I absolutely love it. It's so simple. I actually mainly play it on mobile.
Fair.
I haven't played it on Gamespass yet, so it'll be quite interesting to see if there's any difference. But like the core, it's such a good core gameplay.
Yeah, the strategy involved in it and something so simple is like, yeah.
And it's funny because you could probably never do it in the real world.
No. And at first, like, it's a difficult one to explain, I think, because when you said, like, it's like poker, but with other bits, I'm like, I understand. But now
No,
I've played it,
it's one of those games you do not. It's like if you say to vampires, like, here it is. Early in the podcast today, we're talking about Vampire Survivors.
ding, 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 ding.
If you, don't worry, we'll get to Helldivers 2 in a minute. If you explain, if you just say to somebody, yeah, it's poker and it has power-ups, they're like, oh great, that sounds like I've been playing that on my Windows PC since Windows 95. It's like, no, it's really good, and it's a game you have to play, I think, to experience and actually understand what it's like.
Because there are a lot of extra bits in there that, so if you get the synergies right, it's like, oh wow.
And also, like, even ordering the cards, if you don't put the cards in the correct order and you're not getting your multipliers and your base chips up in the correct order, that would do you as well.
Yeah, and some of the ones think, oh, that'll be really good, and then it never actually comes into fruition.
When it's like, if I get face cards now, I'm laughing. It's like, 2s and 4s. Or like a run with just one card missing, but then you can't get a card which then does your runs, and so you can fill them in. Yeah, it's a very deep game, and one I've been playing it pretty much daily since before Christmas now. So I haven't, and I think I've beat all of the basic decks except black.
Cool. Which
for some reason I cannot beat that deck.
Yeah, I've not unlocked that one yet. What weird stuff does that one do?
I don't think it does anything that exciting. I think it's like one extra discard or like one extra. It's something rubbish, but I just can't seem to beat that deck, which is really random.
Purely, I think I managed to screw myself over the other day because I was trying to be too tactical.
Sometimes you can just absolutely luck through, but then is one of the bosses literally called the Wall when it's just like get 100,000? You're like, oh yeah. Well, that's mean. It's like an extra large. When you get an extra large blind, you're like, well,
I'm done.
Yeah.
I tried being smart and using one of the. It was on the tarot. Yeah, the tarot card. I think it's like, right, I'll try and make it really easy to get a flush because I'd powered up flush, and then I rolled the boss blind, and it's like, yeah, that suit debuffed. I'm like,
yeah, so that
cool.
So I think I've had that before when I've turned like most of my deck into one of the. I think I turned it all to hearts, and it's like hearts are buffed. You're like,
I can't do nothing.
Yeah, you can really screw your own run up so badly in that.
And it even gets rid of all the extra effects as well, so you can't get anything from that.
Or I think the worst one is when there's one certain runs, or if you use a run more than once, that's hard when you can't use the same one twice in a row. That's hard.
Do you have a hand that comes up more often for you?
Full house.
Same. I was thinking, is it just somehow me?
No, it's just always full house. And then when you get to one of it says, no full house, you're like,
Yeah, and meanwhile I've powered it up to level 7.
Yeah, like my favourite planet card's always Earth.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's the one
which is my least favourite planet.
We probably could do an hour and a half podcast about Balatro, but everyone would probably get very bored. I did actually finish my third game of the year so far in 2025. I finished The Devil in Me.
Oh, yeah. How was that in the end?
Incredibly stressful in the last few bits. So, do we talk about the bit with the dog in the last podcast?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that bit was kind of dodgy. The entire end of the game is a lot of very quick. You have to be very quick for your quick time events.
Oh no,
obviously, but they are really quick, and there's a lot of instant death near the end of the game. And it does have. It has. I was very, very stressed playing the end of this game. It's very, very difficult near the end to keep everyone alive. And I was like, right, I am keeping everyone alive. Only Scum saved twice where I reloaded. Once was with the dog, and once was when it's like, press the button. It's like, and it didn't. And I was like, well, I did press that, so no, I'm not having that game. But yeah, I did get I think it's the first time one of those games I've actually got every survivor out.
Sweet.
On a blind run.
It's not bad.
So like without looking stuff up. It does have one of the. So I'm incredibly stressed playing. My hands are sweating. I'm like, oh my god, this is really stressful. And then there's this bit at the end which literally made me laugh. Literally, I laughed out loud. It's a bit where like you jump and there's an explosion behind you. I'm like, oh my god, really? Oh, yeah. That's so stupid. And it has like the most cliche ending ever. But it's what you expect with the Dark Pictures games. They are incredible cliche horror games. But that was. I don't think it'd even make my top 3.
Okay.
So I think my favourite's gonna probably for always be Until Dawn.
Yeah.
And then after Until Dawn, it's probably one of the more recent, probably House of Ashes. That was really good.
Oh yeah, that's the one in 90s.
It's the one in 90s Iraq.
Yes.
That's incredibly good. So it actually brings in gunplay, which works really well.
Ooh. Nice.
And that's got my favourite kind of story in it. And then probably after that was The Quarry.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Was very good. But this one was probably the fourth best.
I think I'd probably, I'd be biased on it just because of my ghoulish love of true crime.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of lore in this one as well near the end, like a lot of actual things, I think, from it.
Yes. I did watch a documentary on HHMs the other day, and good God.
Yeah, if that game's anything to go by. But yeah, it's definitely very good. Then at the end, you get the trailer for the next one, which is coming in October, the weird Aliens, the Thing in Space, which looks really messed up, which I think could be the best one because of the weird mechanic of not knowing who
so good.
is actually an alien, who's your friend. But yeah, we've spoke about that one on I think that was one of my most anticipated games of the year.
Yeah, it does look very fun.
So going back to games, I am once again going to set our Dan the Games Man Game Club game for the next 2 weeks.
Excellent. What are we hitting?
This is a really recent one. I'm going to go a lot lighter after Doki Doki Literature Club, which honestly I did not know was as dark as it was. I heard it was, but it really did catch me off guard. We will again talk about it later. We are going to go with Mullet Mad Jack.
Nice.
Which is about 3.5 hours long. It's on Gamespass. It came out in the last week or so.
Yeah.
It just looks like a 80s, 90s neon shooter. It looks crazy. It looks like our kind of thing. I think it's essentially very quick runs. I think you basically have to run through rooms and kill the enemies in the quickest time or something. I've only just watched the trailer because I knew this was a game I was going to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will be the game to play. We'll be talking about it in full, probably at the start of the next episode. Excellent. So yeah, Mullet Mad Jack. It is on Xbox Games Pass. If you're a Games Pass subscriber, you'll be able to download it as part of the service. I have no idea if it's on anything else. I've gone very, very loose with my research this week. I was just like, 80s, 90s, grindhouse aesthetic shooting game. Yes.
And isn't it wild that is the light relief from like a Japanese visual novel game?
Yeah, that really went. Again, come back to that later on. I'm going to let you start off with some of your news this week. Caffeinate up.
Well, I think I can guess what one of yours is, so I won't jump on that straight away. As everyone knows, we're going to mention it anyway. And that is that there's, actually pretty much, all of my news is Xbox based this week.
Ooh, so today's main topic of the podcast is going to be Xbox Games Pass versus PlayStation Plus. So stick around for that. We have done our research. There's numbers. They have been crunched. And we're going to try and have a definitive answer this week after last week's split opinion. But yeah, back to the news anyway.
So it has been pretty much confirmed that they're already working on the next gen of consoles.
Yes.
And a successor to the Series X should be dropping in 2027, along with their own handheld.
So, do you think it's going to be a separate big Xbox console and a handheld, or do you reckon it'd be like the Steam Deck or like the Switch where you kind of dock it and it's more powerful?
That would make a lot of sense.
Or would it be like the Game Gear and eat batteries?
Oh, good God. I mean, I'm surprised there weren't a lot more people when the Game Gear came out with hernias or just really strong arms, because that thing's hefty.
Yeah.
Wouldn't need like 2 car
Especially
batteries.
if you put the thing in the back so you could watch TV.
Oh, yeah.
So that's cool, though.
Oh, the tiny screen. Do you want
that was a real baller thing to have in school. I remember somebody took one on a school trip and we were like, whoa. And then I was like, Game Boy, and everyone's like, Tetris. Oh, how times have changed.
I can print off stickers, though, kind of, maybe.
I think that we're talking like OG Game Boy.
Oh, yeah, that was Game Boy Color.
Pre-camera.
But yes,
so to a slightly more modern console.
The odd thing, I say odd thing, interesting thing. A lot of the articles I read were really poorly written, so I had to pull around and figure
I think
things out.
Nearly all of this is kind of speculative as well, isn't it?
Yes, but interesting thing being, when the successor to the Series X drops and there'll be a handheld, whether they're together or not, we don't know yet. There is a different handheld dropping this year that is partnered up with Asus, so it's not just Microsoft or Xbox.
Yeah.
They're doing their own, was it OEM? So was that original equipment manufacturer thingy? So rather than it being just an Xbox one, it's a partnered up thing where we'll get a little bit of a taste of it.
So it would probably run Games Pass and Steam.
That, yes, we're hoping, because it should be running Windows.
Yes. which I think begs the biggest question. So if you have a console that can run Windows, will Sony still be putting their games on Windows with that kind of year delay?
There is that, because one of the other things that's dropped as well is that there was a post put up in the last few days which got very quickly taken down,
Yes.
showing the new user interface, and there was a tab in amongst, you know, Gamespass in your library of Steam. And then it was like, oops, we'll take that down.
See, I think if Xbox could pull it off where they made a console that could play everything, it'd be a game changer.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a game changer, and then there's Nintendo.
Yeah, they play their own
Nintendo
game.
will never put their stuff on anything.
No.
Nintendo keep their toys close to their chest.
Yeah, they're too busy in their own sandpits, not in their own farts.
But then Nintendo is Nintendo. If you
Yeah.
want Nintendo, you know, if you want that kind of game, you get Nintendo.
They can pretty much print their own money.
But yeah, that could literally be like a game changer.
It would be wild. And it's turning almost from everything as an Xbox to Xbox is everything. Because if we can then just do
It's
it all.
becoming aware.
God. Oh, they have got the AI as well, haven't they?
Oh no! Yeah, go back against that one. Yeah, it is crazy if they pull it off.
Yeah. And it's looking like it makes sense, because also Amazon Fire TVs now, you're going to be able to get Games Pass Ultimate on it and do
Yes,
cloud
that's quite
Xbox
interesting
games.
as well. I wonder how good at internet you need. Also, have you ever tried playing a game on an Amazon Fire Stick without a controller? Because you can get a controller, but I've tried without. Actually, I think I've played Sonic on it. It wasn't great or bad. It was mediocre.
It was in the middle. Didn't make me hate
It
myself.
worked just about.
It just works. No, I haven't, but I can imagine it's an experience.
Yeah, but yeah, that could be a real game changer if that happens. Now, before this, we were talking about some news so fresh, I don't think you even know.
Very fresh.
So we are recording this on Saturday this week. So hopefully nothing happens in the next few days. But yesterday they announced there is new Pokemon cards coming to Pokemon trading card game.
I did
Pocket.
not know this.
You
Excellent.
did not. Yes, Shining Revelry is dropping this Thursday, so when the podcast is out, the new cards will be out.
Nice.
And for the first time ever, they are adding shiny Pokemon.
Ooh.
So that's going to be something to chase.
Oh, good. You want.
Because I am so sick of Pokemon trading card game at the moment. I am not getting jack.
Yeah, I've got very little new things in the last
With
couple
the
of
new
weeks.
deck, I've got to 70 out of 75 and I cannot get those final cards. And for some reason, you can't trade them.
That's stupid.
But yeah, I think we're going to get some people really chasing the dragon with this new one, with like having shiny Pokemon available.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a Dark Charizard by the looks of things.
Nice.
I think that's going to probably be the one everyone's looking for, the shiny Dark Charizard.
I'd totally be down with that.
Another thing I saw this week, Pokemon related, which by the time I'd even seen it, it had been scalped out of all existence. They're
Motorbike.
releasing better than Motorbike. Oh yeah, so last time, Pokemon Motorbike. This time, Pokemon Briefcase, Team Rocket branded, full of Pokemon cards. It looks so sick,
like
because
that.
you can see behind, my wife is a big Pokemon collector. We have, if you're watching on YouTube rather than wherever else you get your podcasts, we have lots of Pokemon chests here. These are all sealed. This is our retirement fund. Yeah, they've released a briefcase, which is an actual full-size briefcase with the Team Rocket logo on the side, and it has loads of cards inside. It's gone. It's not even really worth me telling you because it's been scalped. I think it's Japanese Pokemon Center exclusive. It looks... I want it.
It'd be very fun.
I want it, but I probably won't get it. So, yeah, back to you. I'm going to sulk a coffee.
Basically, yeah, all my stuff was just very much intertwined with Xbox and how it's all clearly leaning towards their idea of wanting to close the gap between PC and consoles. Because if they're going to be able to stream PC games, either whether you can put Steam on there and download it, or whether it is streaming from Steam, and Games Pass will be on everything else.
Pretty mad.
I think they are just trying to disarm the gaming Cold War, basically.
Yes, so obviously talking about Xbox Games Pass versus PlayStation Plus later on. We are talking about it today, so we won't be kind of taking that into consideration, but that could blow everyone out the water, to be honest.
100%.
Well, I'm going to change it back to a totally different topic, but topic we talk about every single week, Helldivers 2.
No.
So, first thing, Helldivers 2 had a break in the war because something literally broke and it wasn't tracking the liberation of planets. The memes quickly came in of Helldivers and automatons playing football, like the kind of World War One armistice kind of joke. There's also a new battle pass. What do they call them?
Warbond.
Warbond. Same thing.
For your
Paid
Liberty
content.
Bucks.
Definitely worth it though. I wholeheartedly
I
think
love
it's
it.
fine to throw money at that game. It was one of the very few games I make an exception for, and I will throw money at that game because the war bonds are cheap and they do generally add good stuff. Because this time they've added Mandalorian armor. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes. Mandalorian armor and the hover pack, which is totally different than the jetpack.
It's wild. So much fun, guys.
So much. I'm so here for that. And
everything in it looks flipping cool this time.
Yeah, I think they've got like a little 6-shooter and they've got like a repeater, which is going to be really, really powerful, which is probably good because they've now added in the walking Strider factories, one of which has a stratagem blocker on its back. So now on Helldive and Super Helldive difficulty, I think they walk around in teams of 5.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, 4 or 5s. Just stomping about, ruining everything.
We never knew how good we had it. We were complaining about the Jet Brigade for absolutely months, and now we have, is it Flame Brigade?
Yep, if they're not called that, they ought to be.
It's the Flame Brigade, Fire Brigade, I would just call them expletive. They suck incredibly hard. Basically, now we have to use armour which has some kind of fire resistance, otherwise you're going to literally get cooked.
They were bad enough with the Jet Brigade, like if you took them out mid-air, you'd just get firebombed. And now they're actively touting.
And it was bad enough when you kind of had a few of the Devastators walking out with the flamethrowers, but now it's like, everyone's got flamethrowers. It's going to be a lot more hell bombing.
Oh, 100%.
I've seen that's a very good tactic people are using at the moment is arming the hell bomb, getting in the car and driving out the Striders.
I like it.
Pretty weird, but yeah, if it works, it works. I've got quite a few more bits of news as well, actually.
Oh, hit me with them.
So we'll go back one more time to Xbox, and this is one of my favourite quotes of the year so far. So the makers of FBC Firebreak, which is that multiplayer game in Universal Control,
excellent,
have said their multiplayer shooter is for people with kids and jobs. So I think essentially what they're trying to say in an incredibly roundabout way is you don't need to play it every day. It's kind of more drop-in. There's no cutscenes in the game. There's no kind of continuing storyline. It's more just like thing, and you can kind of just enjoy the level on its own, drop in, drop out, kind of like how I think Helldivers is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it could be. I've definitely got my eye on that one.
I was already pretty intrigued.
I was sold because I like a game I can just kind of drop in and out of. Oh, I got so much. I've got a lot of news this week.
Yeah,
I have been scouring the internet for news. So we're going to talk about this, I think, next week in our next podcast or the podcast after is video game movies, because there's quite a lot coming out at the moment. Or I just want to talk about some absolutely abysmal video game movies. But what I really enjoyed of recent years, have you seen the new, I say the remake, but the kind of the newer Mortal Kombat?
I'm racking my brains, and I don't think I've actually seen that one.
It's genuinely really, really good. It's not as good as the 90s Mortal Kombat.
That was solid. I love that.
That was solid. That theme tune absolutely slaps. But yeah, this one's really, really good. I really enjoyed this one. They are doing a Mortal Kombat 2, and they've added more characters. The main one being Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage.
I love that. I love it.
Which, that guy is in every universe.
Yes. Yeah.
What? He's in Star Wars. He's
Star
in the
Trek.
Boys. He's in Star Trek.
He's in the MCU.
He's in the MCU. Is he in Harry Potter? Is he in Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings, yes.
Lord of the Rings, yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot he isn't in. He must be in Harry Potter.
I would be surprised.
He just turns up and goes, what? It's Billy Butcher.
I'm surprised he wasn't cast as Kano at any point.
Slight spoiler alert with that one. Kano's in the first film.
Fair.
So I also added Martine Ford as Shao Kahn and Adeline Rudolph as Katana.
Nice.
And then we bring it back the other characters from the first. It looks pretty good. Like, I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be good after the first one. I had no faith in it being good when it came out. Much like the Minecraft movie, which we will be going to see for the podcast. And I think I've got one more final bit of news, which I want to talk about, and that's we had some pretty big trailers drop this week.
That we did.
So I think the two, obviously there's been many trailers, but the big two for me would be Silent Hill F.
Yes, which I can't make my mind up about.
I think the trailer, I don't think gives enough away. I've seen some screenshots and it looks very, very cool. I read an interview with the makers and they said they're trying to kind of match the horror of the entire game with like the beauty.
Okay.
And I think there's like cherry blossom monsters. And the monsters look really messed up.
The few bits I've seen is.
And I think if you want to
insane.
make something scarier, add Japanese schoolgirls.
Well, it worked with Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, that definitely comes across. Yeah, it looks really, really good. I think it's definitely one because I was very impressed by the Silent Hill 2 remake. That was very good. So yeah, I've got high hopes for that. I think it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah.
And then the other big trailer we had this week, 10 minutes of it, was Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
I think I avoided that because I didn't want a headache. So
there's a lot going. Yeah, we'll just go for the entire podcast about me breaking down the trailer for. Basically, go and watch the trailer. It looks incredible.
Okay.
But the last game looked incredible. I feel like they should just let Hideo Kojima,
yeah,
just make his own TV show and let it be unhinged. It looks like a series of unhinged events.
Yes.
But graphically, it looks absolutely incredible. So I think they've really doubled down on a kind of apocalyptic theme. Like there's it looks like there's avalanches, snowstorms, like electric storms. It looks like there's water, like floods.
That's fun.
There's fire.
Especially if it's procedural.
It looks like it would probably be procedural, and it looks like it will be kind of randomized as well.
That's fun.
Looks. I think it's probably the best looking game I've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember the first one looking pretty solid.
That looks
Very
solid
pretty.
on PS4. You know, I think this is going to be one of those games that really pushes the PS5. I have no idea what's going on in the trailer. There's like random characters. There's tar ships flying around, whatever that means. Some of the weird monsters look really odd. There's a guy playing guitar.
Yeah, that was weird.
No one really knows what's going on, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely incredible. I do just wonder kind of if the storyline of the first game didn't keep me hooked long enough. And unfortunately, I don't think this new one has any monster in whatsoever.
Rubbish.
But yeah.
Flip to, what's the, someone of that mad guy that makes pop energy drinks. Bang, there we go. Maybe they'll switch to that. He's another unhinged person.
Yeah, I think the very final thing I wanted to say about news is Space Marine 3 is coming.
Yeah.
Which is all that matters. Because
the Codex Astartes does support this.
That will be absolutely incredible. So, we are going to go into our Reddit story this week, and this is a long one.
All right.
So, strap in for this one. My wife has found this Reddit story in the dark corners of Reddit, and this is one that has been reposted a lot. And the title is Gaming Addiction Costs Him Everything. So this does have a trigger warning of addiction, financial exploitation, and weird word I can't read. The saga of the man who went to a relationship frontier no man has gone to before and is now stuck there. So this does have some little bit of background because you may not know this game. I'm sure a lot of you do. Those not familiar with the game itself, the game in question is Star Citizen. So it's an MMO. It's still in development. Multiplayer space trading and combat simulation game. It's been in development since 2012. Let him cook. It uses almost entirely crowdfunding for costs, and as such has players buy in-game spaceships for real money, with the cheapest spaceship being $45 and some ship packages having a price of up to $48,000.
I think I can see where this guy fell down.
According to one article I saw, some of the ships aren't in-game yet and are considered concept ships, essentially pre-order items. Many people consider the game to be scam based on the amount of time it's been in development, missed development milestones, delays, and exorbitant prices of some of its content. This is Reddit, not me, so please don't come at me, Star Citizen.
Made up shit.
So, I just got to find the start of this. So, this goes on to this is the original story, which was reposted, cut up, stuff like this. This one took a lot of sleuthing. It was like boards and stuff. So, 31 male. Can I rebuild trust with girlfriend, 35 female, after gaming addiction ruined our apartment plans? 31-year-old male facing a crisis I never expected. My girlfriend and I had plans to move to a better apartment, but it's from the person who made the mistake. But I jeopardised our dream by spending our savings on Star Citizen. This incident has made me realise I might be battling a gaming addiction and impulsive spending. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that because it is an easy wormhole to fall down.
Yes. Although I think, the use of the word might as a qualifier.
Yeah, I think. So despite our initial forgiveness and a clear agreement to not buy any more in-game items for 6 months while replenishing our savings, I failed to stick to our plan. This breach of trust led to major argument, especially after I refused her suggestion to sell my gaming account. Coincidentally, she's left and we haven't spoken since. The situation has hit me hard, making me see how my gaming habits turned from hobby into destructive force in my life. I'm struggling with the realisation my actions may not have only damaged my relationship but also affected my financial stability, so my credit score is now in jeopardy. The most painful part is recognising how much I love her and the extent of the turmoil I'm in. I'm earnestly seeking advice on how to address my addiction and possibly salvage my relationship.
Oof. We're keeping it light today, aren't we?
Yeah. I think there's actually more.
Did I huck to a coin as well?
Oh, this one's very in parts. Sorry, just bear with me. Yeah, she has left. Some people are like, you can request refunds from support and seek professional help, but I'm guessing it's the kind of game that you can't, digital content, it's like you never own it, but you can also never get it back.
Yeah, and if they're getting most of their money from crowdfunding, that's probably going to be like, nope.
And I think the main problem is, if they promised not to do it again, it's one thing to make a mistake, but then say they're not going to buy anything for that 6-month period and then just do it anyway. But it is difficult because, especially with there's games like that, games like FIFA, when you buy FIFA points, and a lot of these kind of games with microtransactions are incredibly predatory.
Yeah, because they get you with just the small ones or the flash sale things, and that's fine. And then it just adds up, and you think, oh, I'll just do it again to get some more of that. That's why I need to stay away from Poker Gold. Yes.
Yeah, it is an incredible. That's a really tough story because that can, but some of these games, $48,000 was it for a virtual ship, is pretty crazy.
That's wild.
Because I think in that game as well, your ships can be destroyed. So but addiction could be anything. Even with collecting games, it's very easy for people to overspend.
Yeah,
I think that's half the thing with if you have any kind of hobby, it is sticking to a budget or kind of realising, I don't think you should ever spend outside your means.
No.
Which is easily said.
Yeah, because that dopamine hit, it's strong.
But that's a difficult one, that one. That's a real downer.
Yeah, there was nothing about, I don't know, setting fire to yourself in the woods playing VR.
No. Let's bring it back to another way to spend money on video games. So we are discussing today Xbox Games Pass or PlayStation Plus Premium Plus Plus X Plus. What is the highest tier of PlayStation Plus called? Have you got the tier breakdown?
Yes.
I will let you start with the tier because basically I just throw my money at both because I think because I can't choose.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to try and do today, even though I'll probably still have both.
So, PlayStation Plus, 3 tiers. Can be boring and say that I said before it was cool. So I had PlayStation Plus back on PS3 when it was only about 33 quid a month. And you didn't need it to play online at that point.
Was it 33 quid a year? Sorry.
That's the one. And yeah, you just got a couple freebies every I don't know if it was even every month at that point. It might have been every so often. I can't remember.
We'll probably come back to that later on as well.
Okay. And then going on to PS4, you needed it to play like Xbox Live, but now it's broken into its levels. You've got Essential, which is your basic one to be able to play online and you get a few bits.
Yeah.
Extra, where you get access to the majority of the game's catalogue.
Yes.
And then Premium is the big daddy boy, where you get everything.
That's what I have. For a main reason, which we'll come on to later on.
So yeah, I did have Premium for a while because there was an offer. It was like, extend your membership to this for just a small amount extra. And I did that. So would you like me to break down what's on Premium?
Yes, please.
So with Premium, you have, well, actually, if we start from Essential upwards, all you get is some discounts, share play, cloud storage, and I guess the monthly games, which is okay, I suppose.
Yeah, some months are better than others.
100%.
And I think Sony has listened to the complaints.
I think so, because there were a lot of months last year. It's like, cool, that's rubbish.
Especially when they chuck in a sports game.
Yeah, no interest in that whatsoever.
No. Like, here's FIFA.
Cool.
No.
Extra boosts on top of that by giving you massive game catalogue as well as the Ubisoft Plus subscription, which is pretty cool as well. And then at your top tier...
Did not realise it gives you Ubisoft Plus subscription.
It's pretty fun. Or at least the classics, which I don't know if that's separate from the whole thing, but you get a fair amount of them on there. I just use it for farting around on Far Cry.
Yeah, fair.
My favourite one, I think actually probably 5, because I started playing that when I was really into the show Justified. So I could just pretend I was the US Marshal and shooting up like
I like Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Solid, yeah. Yeah, get that neon synthwave murder aesthetic.
Yep. Yeah, give me anything synthwave neon, I'm in.
So yeah, with Premium, as well as your classics catalogue, you get a lot more previous gen stuff. So you get your PS3 and your PS.
And this is why that's what I'm subscribed to.
Yes.
It's the classics. It was the day they put Dino Crisis on. I was like, yes, please, I will have that. There's some really good ones on there. There's some games on there that I cannot afford to buy for the PlayStation 1, such as Twisted Metal, and that was a good way to play them.
Yeah. With
the original. It's an easier way for me to emulate them in a way I enjoy.
Yeah, that's fair. And just the amount, because you get basically not all of them obviously because there's so many, but you get a hefty amount from each previous gen, don't you? So you get PS1,
I think
2,
the PS1 games work on it really nicely.
Yeah, I think so.
And also they are in 4.3 ratio instead.
It's not stretched and weird.
No, not stretched and weird, which is really good.
The other bonus that Premium has over Extra is that you can do streaming. So you don't have to download it if you have limited storage.
Yes, have you tried streaming off it at all?
I have, and that's one of the sort of balancing points between that and Xbox, in that I found, even with a wired connection, streaming from PlayStation Premium was
Really? That genuinely surprises me. Like, I thought it'd be the
choppy.
opposite way round.
The input lag was ridiculous.
Really?
I can't remember what I was playing.
That's a real shame because there is a large proportion. Is there a large proportion of games you can only stream? Or was that something they had previously? I think you could only... I may be totally wrong, but I think... Is it only PlayStation 3 games you can stream?
That might be it. Yeah, there was some sort of weird stipulation.
There's a weird... The PlayStation Plus setup is odd.
Yeah, there's some weird things going on there.
Gamespass is just like, here's games. Either download, stream, whatever. PlayStation, that is literally all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah. The only thing I can think with that is maybe because wasn't the architecture for PS3 so baffling that emulating it is a bit of a faff, and maybe that's why.
I think so, yeah. I think people still don't really emulate PS3 because you got to think of all the games that came back on the day on PS3. A majority of them looked better on the Xbox, which I think didn't you discover with the orange box?
Yes.
Yeah, which is what turned you onto Xbox in the first place.
I think that, and also New Vegas. Oh, good God. Playing that on PS3 with all of the expansions, you needed a good 40 minutes just to load the game.
Really?
And if you had to change areas, it's like, well, I'm going to the shops while this happens. Because it was just so clanky. It's terrible. But yeah, those are sort of the main points about the different tiers on the PlayStation side of things.
Do you have the difference in the Xbox tiers?
I think I do, yes. Do.
So, full disclaimer, I have my Xbox Series X on Xbox Access.
Yeah, same actually.
Where I bought the console over time. It just includes Xbox Games Pass, so... so like, I don't care about money, so it just kind of comes and goes. So honestly, I have not paid any attention to how much Xbox Games Pass costs.
So if I can get this to actually save, there we go.
Are we going to have a graph?
I think I still have my chart. What is on here? What is on here? I did put all of these down with different things, but apparently no.
So I've had Games Pass since I had my Xbox One. I was quite an early adopter of Games Pass.
I didn't have it then.
Did you not? Is it more recent for you?
It is, yeah. I did the same and got the Xbox Access. So for whatever it is a month, I got just leased the console until I paid it off, and I think 2 years of Ultimate.
Yeah, I think you do over the course of 2 years.
Which is pretty handy.
So have you got the tiers of Xbox Games Pass?
I think I do.
Microsoft Games Pass?
That's a weird thing as well, because they seem to be trying to put the two things more entwined, so it's less.
But then again, most of us refer to it as Games Pass.
Yes. All right. So, core. So, your basic one, just to get in there. $6.99 a month.
Yep.
Standard, $10.99 a month.
Yep.
Ultimate, $14.99 a month.
So the basic one, you get online play. And you get, do they call it the core games?
Yeah.
There's about 45 or so, isn't there?
I think so. It's not a huge amount.
And they're not new releases, are they? They're kind of like classics. Like if you get, like, say, Minecraft, Forza 4, Master Chief Collection, Gears of War, stuff like that.
It's just a little curated sort of best of Xbox.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, you get a few discounts, but it is effectively just the same
to pay to be online.
Yeah, basically, the privilege.
Yeah,
it's what was Xbox Live.
Oh, what a day what a life we used to live when you'd have to pay to go online.
God. Yeah, standard. Basically, same thing as well, but really ups the amount of games you can get. Goes into the hundreds. You get a huge.
Yeah, I think I have the statistics on numbers, which we'll break down next.
Excellent. And then Ultimate, obviously all the new releases day one, or a lot of them anyway. You then get to use it on PC, and now, as we've also discovered, Fire TVs.
Yep.
And you get the EA Play membership.
Yes. So with Sony, you get Ubisoft Plus, and with Xbox, you get EA Play.
Yeah. I feel like it is definite just shots fired
and I
at
think
each
with
other.
both of those, don't you get... Is it time trials of some of the new games? Can you play the first 10 hours of a lot of new games?
Yeah, a certain amount of it at least.
But not a lot of day one, like launch day games, do you?
No.
So say this week, Assassin's Creed...
Shadows?
I don't know. It's been so long. I suppose it doesn't suck, which is more fine. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows is finally out, but it's not on Ubisoft Plus straight away, is it?
No. I think they want it to be ones that have done their time for a bit, just so
you
that
can kind of go
can
back
get
and play, like, say, your Watch Dogs, your Far Cry's, your bits like that. They're kind of classic. It's more a classic curated collection from just that publisher, which is essentially the same as what EA Access is. They're so similar, but different game companies.
Yeah.
Because to buy them alone, you'd have to be insane.
Yeah.
Are they 11? I think they're £11 each per month if you just bought one. So I think when they first,
wild.
Sorry,
it's wild.
It's mad. I think I did it when they first came out because they had like a trial, and I used them, and this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's such a specific little corner of it. It's like, it doesn't actually get me that much.
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't make sense. But I'm going to break it down into some games. So with Games Pass, you get roughly 400 games.
Damn.
400 games.
We like it.
And on EA Access, it gives you an extra 70. Roughly. These are rough numbers as of now. So about 470 games.
That's decent.
So with PlayStation Plus, I've got a lot more numbers. So You get 383 PlayStation 4/PlayStation 5 games. That does mean some games released on the PlayStation 4 that also work on the PlayStation 5.
Nice.
I haven't got it broken down. There's 38 classics, so PS1, PS2, and PSP. 15 game trials, which you can do 2 hours of the game.
Nice.
308 PlayStation 3 games, but here's the caveat, which we came to earlier. All PlayStation 3 games you have to stream. There's also 212 other games you can stream which are non-PlayStation 3. So I think there's some of the older games. Then you get your monthly games and, you know, your PlayStation Plus games.
Yeah.
That you have to keep. So if you with PlayStation Plus, every month hit add to library? Because I will do it regardless of that game. I will add it to my library. That game is mine.
So that actually is quite apt at the minute, because I didn't think I'd ever be playing Doki Doki, so I didn't add it to library when it went on Plus.
Oh.
So hence why I played the vanilla version on Steam, because that's free.
Yeah, so I had it when the PlayStation 4 came out, roughly, for about a month into the PlayStation 4, I got it. I had it all the way through the PlayStation 4 until I got the Xbox One, which was a couple of years after it came out. Then I went on to Gamespass. So I built up a very large selection of games. That's when I used to do a lot more. Some of the games of the month, like PS3 and PSP and Vita.
Yeah.
So you've probably got some really odd games in your library.
I think so. I think I might have some of the Killzone ones.
Yes.
That were only on portables. They were strange.
So both services have a lot of games. But I would say Xbox Games Pass is updated more often.
Yeah, they have several drops a month, don't they, at least?
Yeah. And this is very subjective, but comparing the quality of the games. Now, I would argue, pound for pound, PlayStation Plus Premium has a better selection of games.
I think for sort of big hitters, I'd agree, yeah.
But, once again, there is a slight caveat to that. Xbox has a lot more day one exclusives. So, I think it's recent that they've added God of War Ragnarok to PlayStation Plus Premium.
Yeah, within the last month or so.
Which is wild. That game's been out quite a while now, and if you haven't played it yet, then seriously, you need to play that game. It's one of my favourite games of all time. But when we were talking about a couple of episodes ago, our most anticipated games of 2025, most of them are day one Xbox games.
Yeah.
I think with PlayStation Plus, you need to dive a lot deeper into the catalogue to find cool games.
Yeah, play things that might have passed you by beforehand when they initially dropped.
Like, I think there's a lot of games that are like around the PlayStation 4, Xbox One era that I might have missed. They're all on there now.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot more kind of third-party games like that. Kind of like the 7 out of 10 games you kind of people pass that you can now go back and experience, where I would say a very large majority of Xbox Games Pass is indie games.
For the most part, yeah.
But then again, also, I've got nothing against indie games. Some of them are my favourite games I've ever played on there.
Yeah.
You know, throw it back. I only played Vampire Survivors because it was on Games Pass. And it's probably one of the games I've poured the most hours into ever.
I think I only started playing it, it was after the Castlevania add-on, so it must have been like late October, early November. And by the end of the year, it was my most played game on the Xbox Roundup.
But yeah, I think I would argue, like, me and my wife were looking through, and I think there's more games. I played Devil in Me on PlayStation Plus Premium.
Yeah. I think all the Dark Pictures are on there, aren't they?
I think there's a better selection of hardcore games on there rather than a lot of the more casual or indie games on Games Pass.
Yeah.
But the main difference with Games Pass is those day one exclusives.
In fact, the day this episode drops will be when Atomfall comes out, and that's day one, and that's going to be good.
And honestly, with the state of Xbox Games Pass this year, you have a game a month to try, a must-play game a month. And then they drop in games like Mullet Mad Jack, which we're going to be playing this week, which we're like, how do I have time to play this as well?
Yeah.
And I think operationally, from a layout form, I prefer how Xbox Games Pass works.
Yes.
Because it seems to know what I want to see. I find
Yeah.
it quicker, I find it easier, I find it much more user-friendly than PlayStation Plus Premium, which especially if you have not got the highest tier membership of PlayStation Plus Premium, it's like, I want to play this, no. I want to play this, no. I want to play this, no. Stream, this. It is quite infuriating. There's a lot of paywalls as such in PlayStation Plus Premium.
One of the things that I hate that they've done is the front end for the subscription bit is just so fiddly. You'll go on there and it will just have so many tabs labelled monthly games, but the thumbnail will be a particular game. And it's like, I just want to look at what the monthly games are, please. It's like, no, you want to look at this game. It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And there's a lot of adverts on PlayStation Plus. Randomly. Lot of adverts and games. It's like, buy this game. It's like, no, I'm looking for games to include in my service. No, you want to buy this new game which has just been released. It's like, no, I don't.
Do you like to pre-order this? No, I don't.
No one's going to pre-order any game digitally in this house.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a difficult one. I think they both have their kind of positives and negatives. But for me, from a value, they're about the same price.
Yeah, roughly.
Everything else, they all give you a load of games. Nearly swore.
A shovel load.
A shed load of games. And but it's the day one exclusives with Games Pass at the moment. But if they can keep it up, I feel like last year Xbox just did like a monopoly board of game publishers, just went around and bought them all. And now we're actually seeing the effects of that, because last year on Games Pass was Vampire Survivors saved that year on Games Pass.
I think so, and that's a $3.99 game.
Yeah, I think I've actually bought the game. Well, I bought every single DLC.
Yeah.
But but the day one games this year are wild.
I think are we getting Outer Worlds 2 on day one?
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah.
And Doom the Dark Ages. And
who doesn't want a gun that crunches up
skulls
skulls and fires it at people?
So let me see what's coming. See, the Xbox Games Pass app is also quite useful. He says, as he can't find what games are coming soon. But it's just this, and it's constantly adding games, just dropping them in when you're not expecting them. So coming soon to Games Pass, you have Atomfall, Commando's Origins, Expedition 33, which looks really good. Doom the Dark Ages. Is that all of it? No. Oh, actually, there's not. There's about 7 games have announced so far, but I think they only announce them when they have a definitive release date. But one bad thing, I've been burnt by this. I know you've been burnt by this recently. When you pre-save those games and download them, there's a lot of air quotes going on today, so I hope you enjoy this on YouTube. When you download a game ready to play on Games Pass, I did this with Black Ops 6, and it went, you need to download this game. It's like, I did.
Yeah.
I downloaded the 160 gigs so I could play it on day one. It's like, no, you didn't. It's like, well, I did.
I did that with Avowed. It's like, I'll do it. And then because of time zones and whatever, I was like, I'll see if I can play it now. Went on it, and it's like, oh, you need to wait until it's ready. It's like, all right, come back to it later. Cool, we'll download that for you. It's like,
yeah,
my brother in Christ, you knew I wanted it.
Yes, that's really annoying. And also, the Xbox does download when it's fully turned off. The PlayStation's like, put me in rest mode, and I may download. And it's like, the Xbox is like, yeah, I'll just do it anyway. Just do it. So yeah, if it wasn't for day one exclusives, I would say PlayStation Plus. But with the day one exclusives this year, for the value for money, like I would have bought Avowed day one.
Yeah.
That's like a big AAA game. I would have bought Indiana Jones day one. I would have bought Atomfall.
Oh yeah.
Even though Atomfall is on other consoles, which no one seems to be shouting about.
Yeah. Especially if you search for Xbox exclusives at the minute, that kept coming up. It's like,
yeah,
no, it's not.
It does make things dodgier with physical game collecting, and it is the main reason I have a smaller collection for the Xbox Series X and the PS5. But when those games come off Games Pass, which they will, that's when I'll pick up the physical.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say, are we in agreement?
We are.
Just because of those, as long as Xbox keeps putting out day one exclusives that good,
yeah,
it's rude you can't have an Xbox and not have Games Pass.
Yeah.
Literally, if you're watching on YouTube, comment down below if you have an Xbox Series X and don't have Games Pass. I want to find out one person.
There will be one, and we need to change your mind, because even if you think, oh, it's a monthly cost when I might not buy a game that month, it's like,
I feel like I need to turn up at people's doors and say, have you heard the good word of Xbox Games Pass? But yeah, we're not Xbox. I don't think people have fanboys anymore.
You'd assume not, apart from Nintendo.
Yes, apart from Nintendo and PC gamers.
It's funny that Elon Musk is a PC gamer with how they enjoy their what do they refer to themselves as again?
Something probably not suitable for the podcast. We are going to steer quickly into questions from you viewers, because we did not have time for very many last time, and I'm going to stick to timings today as we have very important business to see to today. So the first one comes from the Primo 80s from YouTube. This is what is your holy grail game, one you already own and one you wish to get? Now this is a very difficult term. Holy grail game differs between people.
Yeah.
And mine differs day to day. So you're not as hardcore a collector as myself?
No.
That's not a flex. That's just a fact.
I think you could build a fort from your games.
That's the plan. I think there's enough plastic in here to protect me from the apocalypse.
I think so.
I'll go first. One of my holy grail items I never expected to own is my Virtual Boy.
That's a good shout, actually.
This is a crazy story, actually. Have I told you the story of the Virtual Boy?
I don't think so, no.
So I was on a retro gaming group on Facebook, and somebody literally posted up, does anyone want a Virtual Boy? I was like, yes.
Jeez.
And they basically commented back saying, oh, send me your address, I'll send it to you. And I was like, okay, cool. I got speaking to this person. This is literally how it went. And they were like, oh, I'm in America. And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Just send it to me in America. Because I was like, well, I'm probably not going to send it anyway. And he was like, oh, no, that's cool. I'll cover the shipping. And I was like, are you sure? I will pay shipping. I'm quite happy. And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. This person, I thought nothing of it. I think we chatted about how much we love gaming, bits like that. How I've always wanted a Virtual Boy. And you just don't see them in this country very often. You do see them, but they have a high price tag. Lo and behold, about 4 months later, this box turns up. I'm like, what is this? This happens surprisingly often to me. Like, a box turns up and I say, oh, something I've ordered. I normally presume it's like limited run or something I've just pre-ordered so long ago. Yeah. But I opened it and it was just a Virtual Boy. And it was very, very early in my collecting that I got it. I think it was before I actually had this games room. And yeah, to actually own a Virtual Boy is insane.
And how is the playing experience?
It's terrible. It's absolutely abysmal. If you ever want to play a Virtual Boy, my advice would be don't. And honestly, it is a console which I think it's like Wario's Woods is pretty good on it. That's about it. There's about, I think it's like 15 games maybe been released for it ever. They're all ridiculously expensive. They're all red lights on black background. It will give you a migraine.
Yeah, I was going to say, that has to be so visually comforting.
It is Nintendo's dirty secret. But yeah, it is absolutely incredible.
Do you think they released it to distract people from the robot thing?
No, because I think everyone likes Rob. No one likes the Virtual Boy.
Valid.
But yeah, it's going to be, I'm very happy to own one. Would you say you've ever owned any of your Holy Grail game, or any kind of Holy Grail item?
I mean, there's the rock I could look under of the ridiculous Mega Drive games I've let slip.
Yeah.
But as I no longer own them, that's probably doesn't really count as much.
No. Do you reckon you'd ever rebuild that collection?
To be
if
honest,
finances allowed.
I reckon probably, because the Mega Drive was my first console.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So probably, yeah. I reckon I would. And I'd want to get some of them ones back just to be like, here, I got you back, you sods.
Yeah.
I made the mistake the other day of looking up Castlevania Bloodlines, or what's the other name for it? The New Generation. And oh dear.
See, I think a Castlevania game would be very high on my list. And this is quite an interesting one. So I actually have one of my Holy Grail games coming at the moment.
Ooh, and I guess you probably don't want to spoil that.
I don't want to spoil it, and I never actually thought so. Something like I would say like, a lot of the Castlevania games I would love to own. I'd love to own Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation 1 with like complete, but I could physically go out and buy that now. If I just went credit card, I could buy that.
Yeah.
This game coming, I have seen once in my entire life, and I bought it there and then. And I've had a lot of help getting this game.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a story, which is coming up in a future episode of the PlayStation Platinum Trilogy.
Ooh.
It is going to be one of the rarest games I will own in my collection.
Nice.
I don't even think it's a very good game. It's literally because it is rare and it finishes a set. And I genuinely believe when I get that game, I could be one of the only people in the world to have this full set, which brings me nicely onto our next question, which is from James Hill 7926, and he asks, what are the 10 toughest PlayStation 3 Platinum games to get?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Now, so if you didn't know, over on YouTube, I'm trying to collect every single PlayStation 3 Platinum game ever released here in the PAL region, and I have a list of the toughest games to find. These are ones I'm really looking out for. So there's more than 10 here, but these are the tough PlayStation 3 Platinum. So we have Bioshock, Bioshock 2, which I think both were either released in very short numbers or they were released under PlayStation Essentials, which is separate to PlayStation Platinum, or they weren't released here in the UK. Okay. All of these games fall under that. Borderlands Game of the Year, so it is a separate listing for the Game of the Year edition, which I have found by dumb luck. Dead Space 2, which is just incredibly difficult to find. Fallout 3, which was only released in Italy. Infamous 2, I think was the same. Motorstorm Apocalypse, Prince of Persia, Ratchet and Clank All for One, which is one I have seen, but it's fairly expensive. Star Wars Force Unleashed, which I haven't seen. Street Fighter 4, which I haven't seen, and UFC Undisputed 2010, which I can feel is going to be the most annoying on this list. It's going to be a sports game which is ridiculously expensive simply because it is rare.
Yep. And it's probably going to be one of those ones where it gets mixed up with the wrong edition or something, like multiple times.
Yeah, and they are the main... I'm really trying to concentrate on getting those because I've come close to finishing the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2 sets, but it's normally the more obscure ones like that where I run out of time because I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm trying to do them all over the course of 1 year. Which brings us on to our favourite question? Yeah, no, they're all good questions. We should play favourites here. But this is from a good friend, my good friend Scott, and his question is, we'll both chime in on this one, your favourite novelty peripheral from a game. So I did a video this week where I talked about the fishing controller for Sega Bass Fishing.
Excellent.
That's quite a fun one. Do you have a favourite gaming peripheral? And there's one which I don't think we can talk. I will talk about it if you're not going to. I don't know if it'll be your favourite.
I think the one that jumps to mind is probably going to be a really sort of basic B kind of answer, but the chainsaw controller for Resident Evil 4.
Which
was baller.
Which I do own in my collection. That was a very much... I see it, I want it, and that's a really stupid peripheral, which is great fun.
It's amazing.
I really enjoy the silent scope controller because it's like this. It's like this big. It's so stupid. That's great fun. But I think I'm trying to think of a really stupid one. I think the vibrating pad for Res is definitely one of the weirdest.
Yeah. Yep.
That's definitely up there.
Forgot about
that. Maybe just Seaman for the Dreamcast in general. So it has a microphone so you can talk to your fish man.
Oh yeah.
You could probably just make a list of weird peripherals for the Dreamcast.
That's true. They went wild.
And there was some really good ones for the Wii as well. I really like one of my favourite light guns of all time is actually on the Wii. It's the hand cannon for House of the Dead Overkill.
Yes.
That's
as they played
a big that's a big meaty light gun. I think I have 2 of those still. They are getting surprisingly rare. I bought them back in the day because for me, at that point, they were the best arcade style light gun I think had been released.
Yeah. Because
they are big and heavy light guns. And that's kind of what you want with a light gun. You want to feel like you are literally.
Yeah, you don't want just light little one from it.
No, that was a good light gun.
Enjoy that. There are some pretty good peripherals you can get now that are kind of weighted as well to plug the Quest controllers into. So you can be like, aha, get. Very fun.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we can come back to that. I'm going to really plumb the depths for some of the weirdest peripherals for games. But we are nearly at the end of this part of the podcast. So we are going to then go on to talking about Doki Doki Literature Club. I'm going to put a trigger warning because we said we're going to speak about the game with full spoilers. It does include self-harm. It does include suicide. So if you don't want to stick around, we fully understand. Remember, the game of the Game Club this time is Mullet Mad Jack. I have to keep checking that name because it's just basically 3 words mashed together. Yep, Mullet Mad Jack. We will be talking about that in full at the start of the next podcast. So if you did enjoy this podcast, make sure you hit that follow button so you download and get reminded every time there's an episode. Leave us a review. We really enjoy it. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. We'll say goodbye for now and then we'll go into our conversation. So goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
And yeah, keep playing the game. See you soon. Very soon if you're sticking around for our in-depth chat about Doki Doki Literature Club. Again, one final warning. If you want to turn this off, we are going to talk about some pretty dark subjects now. And good heavens, that game takes a... Full disclosure, the game's about 4 hours long.
Yeah, roughly.
For about the first 3.5 hours, not a great deal happens. Yeah. I thought I had pulled a bust.
Yeah.
I thought I'd picked a rubbish game.
I knew it had a reputation, but I didn't really know anything about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Steam and saw psychological...
Because it does have... It has
tags.
I don't think you can accidentally play it. It has strong warnings at the start of the game.
Yes.
And...
It says not to be played by, children or people with a sensitive disposition.
Yeah, people who are easily disturbed.
That's the one.
Because this game is genuinely disturbing.
Yeah.
I would say it's Silent Hill remake level of disturbing.
It's kind of like you're playing a game from a creepypasta.
Yes. It's the kind of thing that I think if you got caught off guard and didn't know, and, we have quite strong stomachs. I enjoy my horror. I enjoy pretty messed up movies. Yes. I have a pretty dark sense of humour, but this one did get me.
Yeah, and it does telegraph itself a little bit once it starts off incredibly unassuming other than the
the first 2 hours I was like, well, this is really boring. This is literally like just chatting to girls in... I know it's a whole genre of games, which I'm sure a lot of people enjoy, but you're kind of there and you're just... So kind of you're there, you're kind of the awkward boy joining a club full of attractive girls who are all over the age of 18. It makes that very obvious at the start of the game. Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit hole because that's not the disturbing part of this game. And it's just a lot of... I think the thing is, it sets it up so well, so it basically lowers your defences.
Yeah.
I think throughout the game, and you're like... You kind of just go along for the ride. And I think because you build a bit more of a relationship and you build a rapport with the other girls in the literature club is when the event hits so much harder.
Yeah, I think it does put itself off as very unassuming and very just by the books and a bit like, no, just clicking things. I don't have... Because there's not a great deal you can do at first.
It doesn't feel like you're really going to make a great difference to the world either.
Yeah, and then it's like, just pick some words for a poem.
You write your own poem, and there's some slightly darker words in there.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, this might have some slight undertones. Like, it might be like anger, depression, hate. And some of the words, it'll be like butterfly, cloud, rainbow. And you're like, I'm going to be edgy and make like this dark, gloomy poem.
And then... Yes, and then you start getting little clues.
You kind of have a feeling, looking from the outside, yes, the main kind of friend of the person you play as probably has got depression.
Yes. And then, little bits keep coming up. And you're like,
And I think you start to see the warning signs, and it feels like, to me, you can avoid what happens, but I don't think you can.
No, it seems like you should be able to, but even then, when you think you should be able to avoid that, how it went when I was playing, it was unavoidable either way. Like, someone was going to get hurt, it felt like.
Yeah, it feels like you're either going to hurt your kind of then developing girlfriend or your best friend girl next door who has feelings for you, and you can flat out deny her. And I think you'd be a bit sociopathic because you can tell what's coming. And basically, in my playthrough, I told her I loved her, I always had. And then, long story short, she still just goes home and hangs herself.
Yeah. And
it's one of the... Literally, the music's incredibly happy up to that point. And it's like... The entire music all throughout the game is super happy. And then it goes disturbed, doesn't it? It goes disjointed. And it's like when you... In that early Pokemon game, when you go to the haunted town and all the music does get incredibly disturbing.
Yeah, it makes it...
And the game is like glitching like that. Like all throughout, the game's been like this happy things. It kind of feels like it's run on DOS or something, doesn't it? Like you have to load up your files and everything. It's all super happy, but then it just... I've never had... It felt like all the blood drained out of my body.
I physically recoiled.
Yeah, I actually felt a bit sick, and it actually makes me a little bit emotional talking back through that bit, because it does... It hits so hard, and then you still have to skip through... the kind of speech.
And I genuinely saved at that point, and I sat staring at the screen before it happened, like...
Because you've got that sense of dread for about 5 minutes leading up to it, because she doesn't come to school, you go back to her house, you know it's coming. And I think that's the thing, the game knows what it's doing, it knows you're powerless to stop this event.
Yeah.
This is a fixed event which will happen in this game, and it even references it saying, this isn't just a game, you can't reload and try again.
Yeah, like you can make all those save files, but as soon as that happened, wipes them all. So
it
you're
wipes
stuck.
your game. You cannot change what happens in that game.
Who did you have as like the burgeoning girlfriend before that happened?
Yuri. I actually made loads of happy notes about the game. And I was like, they can all get in the bin.
Yeah, I had Yuri as well. I think you can like chat up the others, but it just goes to Yuri. And
so I actually, this is going to sound really bad, I actually stepped away from the game after that part. I did start playing a little bit after, but sometimes I think because of subject matter, it's something I don't really want to do much. Because you went back, did you finish it?
Yeah, I had a minute, and I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm probably not going to come back and play the rest of it. Because
I played a bit more because you go back to school and you met Yuri, and then the screen starts tearing and glitching, and the music starts dripping out.
You see little bits of I've forgotten her name. She's not even real. Sayori. Yeah. She like keeps popping in every now and then.
As a ghost or some messed up thing.
Yeah, just like a little glitchy thing, and like taking over the text occasionally. You'd get a new poem that was just like a drawing of her being dangling from.
Yeah, because basically I think it was her poem just before she hangs herself, which is what really sets it home. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because and it's a really horrible game.
Yeah, and then it takes an even weirder turn, and Yuri goes completely unhinged.
So I think they kind of reference the fact she's obsessed with knives.
Yes.
Is it a self-harm kind of deal?
Yeah. Oh, maybe we got completely different bits happen then.
I stepped back quite soon after that bit because I thought, you know what, this is...
Yeah, so...
I think you have to be in the very right place to play that game. And I think the content is a bit dark.
Yes, and obviously... So I think in that bit where you're helping Yuri, not only does it reference knives, but like you come back in and it's like, oh, she's rolling her sleeve down or something. Yes,
I think that was one of the things she referenced. She always wore jumpers and long clothes.
Yes, and
so,
oh god,
because part of me wondered, like, if you went with Sayori, would Yuri then have gone home and done the same thing? But...
So it gets more and more unhinged as you go to the point where it's repeating those first few days, but minus Sayori.
Yeah.
And Yuri starts to get, like, tiny little beady eyes and is going ham at it. She's full bunny boiler, like within a day, drags you into her closet and like, I love you. And when she go, you know the bit where they go and fill the kettle?
Yeah.
She goes off on her own and you have to go and find her, and then you find her cutting her arms.
Yeah.
And then it kind of keeps resetting a couple times. And then it goes really wild, and she sends everyone out at some point and just goes, I love you. And you're like, cool. And you only have the option to say, I think, like, love you too. And she's like, great. Knife. And just like completely seppukus herself. And then the next bit is just a close-up shot of that kind of tracks through the next 48 hours over the weekend that you just I just put it on auto and just like, for God's sake, please be done. Turns out it's all Monica. She's unhinged.
Oh.
And you have to you delete Monica from the files. You have to go into it and...
That's so weird. It's such a strange game, but I think you have to be very strong-minded to get through it. And I think you have to be in a very strong place at the time of playing it.
Yeah.
Do you think it actually handles the themes of the game well?
Up to a point. I think the way it like drips in the sort of warning signs and how easy it could be maybe for other people or to miss them until it's too late, I think it probably makes that message quite well. But then when it gets to the game being sentient, and it basically does it that the reason why you can't win with either way is because Monica is sending her intent.
See, I think that somewhat cheapens it.
I'd agree.
Because I did half wonder all the way through the game. I was like, because I didn't know what the twist was. I knew it was going to be something dark. I thought one of them would be a ghost or they'd be haunted or something like that. Kind of traditional, kind of Japanese horror tropes. I didn't think it was going to be this thing. And I don't really think they should have mixed the two.
No.
I think it should have just been, this tragic event, which is what it is.
Yeah.
Because I think, in a way, it kind of makes a bit light of it.
Kind of, yeah. Because it's then like, just go and undo things. And, it's actually just the machinations of an insane bit of software that is in love with you or something. Just go and delete them. And then, like, it brings Sayori back, but she's kind of aware of what happened. Which that's horrible as well.
That's weird as well. But yeah, it was a very dark game. Yeah, I really didn't expect it to be hit as hard as it did.
No, especially when they build it up so subtly, and they do a bait and switch as well with the first time you go to Sayori's, but she's actually just like, I'm just hanging around, I'm okay. It's like, for God's sake.
Yeah, because I think that's, it's a big thing. We've both, the open part of the podcast, we've both dealt with kind of mental health issues in the past. I think we're both quite open to saying.
100%, yeah.
And it does definitely have that kind of happy-go-lucky, I'm fine on the outside, and then I think it really, and I think that's a good message it does put in the game.
Yes.
But I do think kind of cheapening that is a bit of a dick move.
Yeah. Yeah, it does like a good point of saying like, those people might still need checking on even if they seem okay, or they're, setting themselves on fire to keep other people warm, because that was Sayori's whole vibe. But doesn't necessarily always mean a smile's good.
Yeah.
Look at a shark.
And I think if you take nothing else away from that game, it shows the importance of either, if you are struggling talking to people, or checking on your friends.
And partially cheap gag, partially not. If someone has like an artisanal knife collection, check in on them.
Yeah, I think the biggest warning sign, so we're not making light of this situation at all. This is just a coping mechanism we both have. And we dumb it down in the podcast a lot. We have a much darker sense of humour, which you may see in the 18 plus rated podcast specials we are going to be dropping throughout the year. But when she pulls your finger, you accidentally cut your finger in the game, and she pulls your bleeding finger into her mouth and sucks the blood off, that's weird. That's a warning sign.
I completely
That's not a warning sign of mental health issues. That's the warning sign of a psychopath.
Yes. Or someone that's like lost their boundaries for maybe a reason that is also concerning.
Yes. That's definitely more of an issue.
Yeah. I think there was a poem as well that was something to do with parents. I was like,
Yeah, so basically the lesson is check on your friends,
Yeah.
talk to people, watch out for people with collections of artisan knives.
Yeah, never assume everyone's buying.
Yeah. So yeah, for that reason, I think it's a good game. I think it's definitely a game I would still say to experience if you feel you're in the right place to do so.
Mm-hmm. If you're feeling at all wobbly, don't risk
it. If you
it.
have any doubts, just walk away. Don't play it. We will, as we said, our game for next time is ever so slightly lighter. Hopefully. Hopefully we haven't picked a game which is peppered with suicide and self-harm.
You'd assume anything with a mullet involved is not going to be too serious,
Yeah,
because mullet...
Good heavens, if you came into that game not knowing it was at least slightly dark.
If you just thought, great, cool dating sim...
Yeah.
No.
But I think as well, I don't think I'll ever play a dating sim game again. I don't think they're for me.
No, to be fair, I mean, the only one I'd be at all interested in is that, what's it called? Like, it's something to do with a pigeon. Pigeon dating simulator or something like that.
Coming soon to Down the Game Club.
Get
Pigeon
that
dating simulator. But right.
I have a palate cleanser if you want it.
Yes, please.
So, admittedly, I have kind of nicked this concept from one of my favourite pods, but also they've nicked that from the NBA. So,
well, I'm all about recycling.
Are you aware of the idea of March Madness?
No, maybe.
So it's basically a thing. They do brackets and matches up in the NBA to just keep really wild matchups all over the place. So you don't know who's going to be playing.
Okay.
Who. So I've made a couple random choice wheels. So even if we don't get through all of it today, because it might take a while, we can at least make the brackets. And
Perfect.
I've got two separate wheels. One, monsters of some description.
Perfect.
Whether it be movies, cryptids, or other.
Lovely.
And video game / nerdy pop culture things.
My favourite form of culture.
Exactly.
I'm a man of culture.
Man of fine art and culture. So I'm going to give this a spin on the nerd pop culture one. And our first matchup in the bracket.
It's very good graphics, by the way.
That's on the line. Who's that? Starkiller.
Ooh.
So Starkiller.
Arguably the strongest Jedi of them all.
I would say.
Sith or Jedi. Depends on the game you're playing.
Yeah, it depends at what point we are in. Can I name them? Yes, I can. So we've got Starkiller.
I really enjoyed the first Force Unleashed game. It was the first one of the last Souls-y games I played.
True. It kind of, yeah, actually, to be fair.
Second game was a joke. Because, here's 3 areas. One of them twice.
No, it won't let
So
me
who
get
are we
this
arguing Starkiller against?
We have now. I'm going to get rid of them from the thing. If I can get rid of them.
I wonder if Starkiller they're ever going to have anything canon with him, because I think it's
I hope so.
probably not, because I think they named something else Starkiller in the Star Wars
Starkiller
uniform.
base, yeah.
It's kind of ruined it. So that's a strong start.
Whoever's going up with them is going to be challenged. This big matchup. Starkiller is going to be fighting Predator.
Ooh, ooh.
Nice.
So I'm going to kind of go with OG Predator.
Yeah, 100%.
Honey Predator,
I'm
because
thinking that.
that's the only Predator we recognise. Actually, Prey was really good.
To be fair, that was pretty solid. Alrighty. Our next one we're going to call it the Eastern bracket. Pulling from our nerdy pop culture wheel of doom. I was hoping this one would come up.
How many have we got for brackets?
So I think there's going to be 4 on each side, but I've got 10 on each wheel to keep a decent amount of randomness. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
All of them? 5 or 6?
We can't have white / green, because then they'll be OP.
Okay.
So it's standard Rangers.
Okay. I think what we'll do is we'll set the brackets and then we'll send it to the people.
Ooh.
And then we can basically look at it.
But then we'll argue it.
Oh yeah, we'll argue it. We argue everything.
And then we can, we'll
keep set the brackets today, and then in the next episode we'll do the winners and losers, and then we'll set the bracket for the following week.
Yeah, because the fun thing about that as well, with arguing it, there could be random stipulations that you can think of that I can't.
Yeah, so is it... Have you drawn the next one yet?
Not yet, no.
So is it the Power Rangers, or is it with their Zords?
See, that's a good question.
Let's see what they're fighting, because I think if it's like a dude-sized thing, if they're fighting Cthulhu, they could probably have their Zords.
Yeah.
I'm presuming Cthulhu's on there.
I wish. Zords are not going to be necessary. It's simply going to be the Dilophosaurus.
So there's an Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. First gen, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Duh.
I think we know who will win that, but still.
I would like to see somebody argue a Dilophosaurus.
That would be good.
And I would probably argue that till...
And the good thing is, as well, with going forward in these, anything that happens in a round carries over. So it might take out a ranger.
Yes.
And then we'll be going forward. I didn't get rid of Naked Snake from the wheel, did I? Oh, wait, no, we didn't. We didn't have him. Okay, next one.
Spoiler alert, Naked Snake.
Dun, 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 dun.
Naked Snake.
Okay, so I've put a wild card in each of these wheels.
Perfect.
And one of them's now come out. And then
Even...
Stephen Hawking on Compound V.
Ah. So anyone who hasn't seen The Boys, that means Stephen Hawking is now super strong. Well, he'll have a superpower, which will let people argue
Exactly.
as we set these up. So this one could get very interesting.
Yeah, especially if he goes up against our other wild card.
I reckon he'll have the powers of the Flash.
That would be pretty great. Ooh. Ooh.
So Stephen Hawking's with Compound V.
Against the Babadook.
Ooh.
That could be fun.
Horror theme.
Yes,
That's
we
an
like.
interesting one.
Don't know if I've got enough matchups here already. Do you know what? Let's just go through them all, and then we can do another bracket at some point in the future if wanted.
Let's go for one more, because then we have 4 face-offs.
Cool, I'm glad you were keeping track of that, because I was not. All right,
so
last
final
one.
fight.
Nerd Pup reference. Ash Ketchum.
This could get interesting.
I was initially going to go Charizard.
Do you know what? But would Ash have his Charizard?
Exactly.
Or if he throws his Pokeball at random thing, is he going to capture it? Because that could really carry into the next round, depending what he is about to attempt to fight.
Especially if whoever then takes him out, they just potentially got his Pokeballs.
What is our final participant in this?
That was very close to being the T800. It's instead a cryptid I'd not heard of until this morning when I looked it up, the Bat Squatch.
What is the Bat Squatch?
Very Sasquatch-like thing, 9 feet tall though, with massive wings, glowing eyes, and seen around Mount St. Helens.
Got to catch them all.
Yeah, he gonna have that.
Yeah.
So there are our initial brackets for the 2 sides of our
Perfect. So
madness.
what I will do is I will share them over on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/DanGamesman. New videos every Saturday, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and the video version of the podcast on alternate Fridays. We have covered a lot of stuff today. I think we deserve a drink.
I think we do.
Which is what we are going to go and do now, is drink very responsibly. So, I've been Dan.
I've also been Dan.
And this has been the Dan the Games Man podcast. And until next time, keep playing the game. See you all soon.